Vinicius Jr. warned to get used to bench role, as Xabi Alonso says Brazilian can't feel offended by Rodrygo starting in Champions League win against Marseille. Vinicius Jr. was named on the bench for Real Madrid's Champions League opener against Marseille on Tuesday, with Rodrygo starting in his place on the left wing. After the game, head coach Xabi Alonso made it clear that the squad must get used to his rotational policy and sit out a game every now and then, but reassured that Vinicius remains just as important to the cause. Alonso surprises with his starting lineup. Real Madrid began their continental campaign off to a winning start on Tuesday, as the hosts won the game 2-1 against Marseille, thanks to a Kylian Mbappe penalty brace. While winning their first Champions League game of the season was not much of a surprise, it was Alonso's starting 11 that raised eyebrows. Rodrygo, who was heavily linked with an exit all summer, started in place of his Brazilian co-star in a three-man attack, with the latter coming off as a second-half substitute. Vini Jr. receives clear warning from the boss. Vinicius has been one of the best, if not the best, players in the Champions League in the last 4 seasons. Last season, he finished as Madrid's top scorer in the tournament as they lost to Arsenal in the quarterfinals. However, when asked how Vini reacted to being named on the bench, Alonso fired a clear warning, meant not just for the Brazilian, but the entire squad. We're in a demanding stretch. We need everyone. There will be moments for everyone. The important thing is that everyone feels prepared and feels important, because they are and will be throughout the season, said Alonso. If there are private conversations with Vini, they stay at Valdebebas. No one is going to play every game. No one can feel offended for not playing a game. Vini has come on well. The substitutions had a good impact on the game. Rotation is the name of the game. It's not the first time Vinicius has been left out of the starting 11 this season. He was a surprise exclusion for the game against newly promoted Real Oviedo last month, with Alonso asserting that the 25-year-old can have a big impact off the bench. Madrid have played 5 games, and Vini has appeared in each of those 5 fixtures, but has not managed to play the full 90 minutes even once. He has, however, scored 2 goals in the league and averages a direct goal contribution every 82 minutes. Can Madrid make it 6 wins out of 6 this weekend? Having maintained a perfect record so far, Alonso's troops face La Liga's surprise package Espanyol, who sit third after 3 wins and a draw. Alonso must navigate a defensive crisis, with Trent Alexander-Arnold sidelined by a hamstring injury and Dean Huijsen suspended following a red card against Real Sociedad. Thanks for watching. Stay for the next. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Chelsea boss Enzo Maresca explains Nicholas Jackson exit and opens up on text exchange ahead of swift Champions League reunion with Bayern Munich loanee. Chelsea boss Enzo Maresca has explained the club's decision to let Nicholas Jackson join Bayern Munich on a season-long loan. The striker secured a deadline day move to the German Giants, just when it looked like a switch to the Bundesliga might not happen. Now, the Senegal international's current team are set to face his old employers in the Champions League. Jackson set for swift Chelsea reunion. The 24-year-old swapped Chelsea for Bayern on loan earlier this month, with the move only being made possible by the Blues cancelling Mark Guéh's own loan to Sunderland in light of Liam Delap's injury. Ahead of the forward potentially facing the West London team in the Champions League on Wednesday, Maresca has lifted the lid on Jackson's departure and more. What Maresca said on Jackson. The Italian told reporters, "I am thankful to Nico because if we achieved what we achieved last year, it is because of all of the players including Nicholas who was with us. I texted him after he left the club to thank him for last season and wished him all the best. He is a good guy. With us he was good and working well." Chelsea bought 2 strikers, Liam Delap and João Pedro, and 2 strikers is a good number. That is enough. Maresca wary of Bayern's threat. The Italian is expecting a stern examination of his Chelsea players when they travel to Bayern for their Champions League opener. They will hope Jackson, who has scored 30 goals in 81 games for the Blues and helped them win the Conference League and Club World Cup, does not come back to haunt them in this upcoming encounter. He added, "At this moment they are one of the favorites to win the competition, but we will try to do our best. They showed last year that they can compete in this competition and win it." What next for Jackson and Chelsea? Jackson joined Bayern for a loan fee of £14 million, $19 million. Plus there is a £54 million, $71 million, conditional obligation to buy him next year. The clause supposedly requires the ex-Villarreal star to start 40 games during the 2025-26 campaign, something Bayern chief Uli Hoeneß described as impossible. The striker himself is not focused on that, but he will want to impress against parent club Chelsea this week. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Liverpool will add £75 million Man United transfer target to Arne Slot squad if January move completed. Liverpool are reportedly interested in signing Brighton midfielder Carlos Baleba in the January transfer window. Liverpool are seemingly putting plans in place for the January transfer window, with rumors linking them with a move for Brighton star Carlos Baleba. It was a busy summer at Anfield, with 8 new signings being added as part of an overhaul that cost more than £400 million. Head coach Arne Slot brought Florian Wirtz, Alexander Isak, Milos Kerkez, Jeremy Frimpong, Georgi Mamardashvili, Giovanni Leone, Armin Pexi, and Freddie Woodman to Liverpool this summer. Now, fresh reports are already providing rumors about who the reigning Premier League champions could target next. Baleba's future was the subject of speculation earlier in the summer, with the midfielder heavily linked with a move to Manchester United. There have even been suggestions that Brighton could demand a fee in excess of £100 million for Baleba's signature should any club express a genuine interest, reports the Liverpool Echo. Indicala has now reported that Liverpool may pursue a deal for Baleba in January, with the same source previously cited by The Athletic's David Ornstein regarding Man United's interest earlier in the summer. It remains to be seen if the reported interest is true, and the Reds may have their own valuation for Baleba if they do decide to approach Brighton for a deal in the new year. The CIS Football Observatory have run the numbers and placed their own valuation on Baleba in the current market. Indeed, the website estimates that the Brighton star is worth between €75 million, £65 million, and €87 million, £75 million. Liverpool were not heavily linked with signing a midfielder in the summer, and instead chose to prioritize strengthening their defense in the final hours of the transfer window. Crystal Palace star Mark Guéhi was a target, and a deal was agreed between both clubs before the move fell through at the 11th hour. "I think it would be ridiculous if I'm going to deny we were close to signing him," Reds boss Slot said of his side's attempts to sign Guéhi. "That is so out in the open that would be ridiculous. These things happen in football. It happened to our players maybe in the past as well, that they thought they were so close to signing somewhere else, and then in the last moment, things change. This can happen. For me, we would like to sign him, of course, because we were in for him. Like I have said many times, if we feel we can strengthen the team with a chance in the market, we never hesitated to do so, and that's what we tried to do," Slot added. "It's a pity, but not only for us, but also for the player, I think. But he's in a good place, playing at Palace, where he won the Community Shield and the FA Cup with a very good manager as well." Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Liverpool warned Alexander Isak won't improve Mohamed Salah's numbers as former Reds star admits fears Egyptian is starting to deteriorate. Alexander Isak's arrival at Liverpool will allow some goal-scoring responsibility to be shifted away from Mohamed Salah, but the Egyptian superstar has been told that the addition of another forward won't improve his numbers. Salah has been a revelation for the Reds, but they have now splashed out £125 million, $170 million, on adding Swedish striker Isak to their ranks. Salah's record, total number of Liverpool goals. Salah has registered 247 goals for Liverpool through 406 appearances, becoming a club legend at Anfield in the process. He has committed to a new contract that is set to keep him on Merseyside until 2027. Isak, the most expensive signing in British football. Isak has now linked up with the reigning Premier League champions, becoming the most expensive player in British football history, and should help to make Liverpool an even more formidable proposition in the final third of the field. Isak's impact? What ex-Red star thinks. Quizzed on whether Isak's presence could impact Salah's output, former Reds midfielder Dietmar Hamann, speaking in association with Grosvenor Casino, told Goal, "Salah found it hard to score from open play in the second half of last season. Once you get past 30, and I think he's 33 now, there aren't an awful lot of players scoring on a consistent basis in the Premier League. You've got Robert Lewandowski who does it. You've got Harry Kane. In the Premier League, you don't. Salah was a freak of nature, very rarely injured, the numbers he got. But I think everything will deteriorate at some stage, and I think we saw it at times last season. Again this year, he hasn't found it easier scoring goals, creating, or getting chances. The dynamic has changed as well, because in the past Salah was the guy they looked for. Now it might be Florian Wirtz, even though he's had a very disappointing start to his Liverpool career, and now with Isak coming in, obviously there are two ways of seeing it. You can say there's another guy taking attention and maybe taking balls away from Salah. On the other hand, you can say maybe it gives him a bit more space because they have to look after 2 or 3 top players. My gut feeling is that the arrival of Isak won't improve Salah's numbers. Will Wirtz come good for Liverpool? Having hinted at Wirtz's slow start to life in England, Hammond went on to say of his fellow German, who moved to Anfield in a £116 million, $158 million transfer of his own, and what a successful debut campaign with Liverpool will look like. Well, if they win the league and he contributes, I'd say he's done his job. He's a young player, but age doesn't really come into it because he cost a lot of money. I wouldn't like to quote you a number, but obviously it's got to start at some stage because he's had a disappointing start to his career. It's a different game, it's more physical, it's quicker, and free kicks aren't given as easily as in Germany. This is something he has to learn. When you come to England, you have to mature quickly, because if he has another 2 or 3 disappointing performances, I don't think Arne Slot will worry about it. But there might be a time where he says, maybe it's better I leave him out for half an hour or 60 minutes. And if the team does well, then you might have a problem. Then again, they've got so many games there'll be time for everybody. But you want him to come good sooner rather than later. I'm not a big fan of assists because if you pass the ball 3 yards and somebody knocks it in the top corner from 40 yards, you get an assist for it. So I'm not a big assists man. I know how good he is, and I've told everybody how good he is. I hope he does come good sooner rather than later. In all competitions, I'd be disappointed if he doesn't get into double figures for goals. Perfect start. Liverpool flying in 2025-26. Salah was on target in Liverpool's latest fixture, as they maintained their perfect start to the 2025-26 campaign. But that effort was a 95th-minute penalty. The Reds are yet to determine when record-signing Isak will be cleared to make his competitive debut for the club. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Snubbed Liverpool star now a prisoner at Anfield after extraordinary counterclaims made. A remarkable report described a snubbed Liverpool player as a prisoner at Anfield, while other sources have adopted the polar opposite view. Liverpool's attacking ranks experienced wholesale change this summer. Rio Ngamaha has been promoted into the first team, while Florian Wirtz, Hugo Ekitike, and Alexander Isak were all signed for huge fees. Luis Diaz, Darwin Núñez, and Harvey Elliott were sold, and tragically, Diogo Jota passed away. One player who remained at Anfield despite rampant speculation he'd depart was Federico Chiesa. Chiesa did not lack for interest throughout the summer, with clubs in Italy and Turkey showing concrete interest. However, despite Liverpool omitting Chiesa from their 22-man squad for the Champions League group phase, all interest in the winger was turned away. The most recent approach came from Besiktas prior to the Turkish window closing on Friday, September 12th. And according to a stunning report out of Italy, it's Liverpool and not Chiesa who rejected the move. Accordingly, the report branded Chiesa a prisoner at Anfield. The real truth on Federico Chiesa's situation. The claims Chiesa is being held at Liverpool despite an apparent desire to leave flies in the face of what the vast bulk of other outlets or sources are saying. Speaking back in mid-August following his late heroics against Bournemouth, Chiesa himself insisted he's happy on Merseyside, stating, "We'll talk to Liverpool, but I'll be honest, I'm happy here. I play for one of the best teams in the world. I have to wait and be ready like I was tonight. I have to prove that I can play for this team. I repeat, the manager has been very good with me in recent months." More recently, Gazzetta dello Sport, one of the more reliable Italian outlets, stated it was Chiesa who turned down the Italian and Turkish opportunities. And crucially, the chance to join Besiktas came after Chiesa had already learned he had not been included in the Champions League squad. Furthermore, the comments made by Arne Slot earlier this week strongly suggested Chiesa has taken his UCL snub the right way. Of course it was tough for a manager. It is difficult for him, began Slot. Of course he wasn't happy with that decision, but he understood the argument. He gave the answer you want to hear from a player, and he will be there to help in the other cups and the league. He worked really hard in these days to be ready for the upcoming games, which is even more important than what a player tells you. Clearly, the rogue new claim Chiesa is a prisoner at Anfield is hogwash. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe.